Hello everybody and welcome to another one of my Doom 3 tutorials. Today I'm going to be going over custom GUIs in Doom 3. Now I've been making some custom GUIs for my upcoming Doom 3 mod, and I am here to show you how to make your own custom GUIs. Now most of what I've learned is a combination of what I've looked up on the internet as well as what I was able to reverse engineer taking the GUIs from the Doom 3 game. Now, what I recommend doing is taking the Doom 3 pack files and pasting them, and then turning the copied files into zip files like what I did, taking out with the contents and putting them inside of folders so that for easy access. And so here I've got the contents of the pack files. And what I did was I went and created my own mod. So for Doom 3, I went and created my own mod, Chaos on Earth. This is a mod I'm going to release. Now, if you just want to create custom GUIs for your custom map, even if you're just making a custom map, I would still recommend like creating a mod where you've got all these different folders for different things. Because if you're going to be adding in things like custom GUIs and whatnot, or changing other aspects of the game like the shotgun spread or the armor durability, then you're going to want to do this. So what I did was I also created different shortcuts. You see, in order to get the map editor working, what you would normally do is you would go into the game, bring down the console with, I believe it's Control-Alt-Tilde, but I use a console command to make it so I don't have to do that and just press the tilde button. You bring down the console and then you type in editor to get the map editor working. To get the GUI editor working, you would type in GUI editor or something along those lines. Now, I followed some GUI tutorials that show you how to do this. If you could find some of these GUI tutorials that I found, they really helped me. This is the one that I started with, and I just kind of went from there. But for those of you who want me to kind of like give you a rundown of what I did, I'm going to be honest, for the most part, I just looked at what other people did or looked at the finished products of what other people did, copied and pasted it, and then changed it to my liking. But you know what? I'm going to run through it just to show you what exactly I did. So I went and copied my Doom 3 shortcut, which is not even the shortcut that I use because I use Steam, but I'm just going to show you what I did. Okay, so I went over here. Okay, code, Doom, whatever, Doom 3. Whatever, Doom 3. Okay, so you would copy this. Well, no. You would copy this part specifically. And then you would right-click on your copied Doom 3 shortcut. Don't use your main one. Copy and paste it, and then rename it something like this. And then you go in there. And at the end of target, you would paste it in here. I don't need this because I was going to do a demonstration of that, but I kind of forgot exactly what I did. So I'm just going to look at the one that I made that is finished. So the target will look like this. I wish I could expand this wider so I could show you the entire thing. FS game, whatever this is, would be how you would have it go into a mod specifically. So these two shortcuts, you don't want it to say like FS game Chaos on Earth literally, because I just have that just because I'm using these tools to make my mod. So if you're doing this for the base game, you don't need to have this part in it. But for the GUI editor, you want to have +exec run _ GUI editor.cfg. And prior to that, you also, let me see if I can use the arrow keys to show you. So it would be after the last quotation mark and then space, and then you would paste this in. Now, in order for this to work, you would have to go into your Doom 3 folder and And you would normally put this in your Doom 3 folder, but I probably put it somewhere else and I forgot. You're going to create some you'll create some .cfg files, which are really just README files that I just changed the extensions on. You're going to want to turn on the option that allows you to have file name extensions, because if you're going to be making custom maps and mods for Doom 3, you're going to be doing that a lot. So I'm going to open this with Notepad. So you'll create a text document. You'll paste all of this in there, which, by the way, I just got from here. And you will save this as run_GUI editor.txt. And then when you're done, you will go to rename, and then you would select the TXT and turn it into a CFG. It'll tell you, are you sure you want to do that? Because it will change the file extension. You'll get this pop up. Don't be afraid of that. If you turn it from a TXT to a CFG in this context, you hit yes. I'm just going to hit no because like it is already the way it's supposed to be. And then you're also going to want to create a run_editor CFG. And it's going to basically be the same thing, but instead of GUI editor, it's going to be just editor. This is to get the map editor working, because I went and created a shortcut for the map editor. So instead of going into the game, bringing down the console, and then typing in editor, I just have a shortcut on my computer just to go to the map editor easily. You don't have to do that for what I'm teaching you today with the GUIs. It just makes it more convenient for me and maybe for you. So I'm showing you this little shortcut, because typing in editor into the console is going to bring up the map editor. It'll open up the map editor, and the GUI editor opens up the GUI editor. So I know for the most part, I haven't actually shown you yet the GUI editing part. It's quite a long process. So, I also created editor.cfg. I just want to see what this is. Okay, this is not something that you mess with. That's something for the game. We will be using Notepad to do quite a bit of scripting using the GUI editor. So I just thought I'd throw that warning out there. It's going to be very important. Now, for what I'm going to be doing, I am going to, in my mod, create a, I'm going to create a map and a custom GUI for that custom map. So this is going to assume that you already know how to use the map editor. I could create a tutorial for that too, although many people have already made map editor tutorials, so that might not be necessary, but I could do it anyway. So let me just go into the game real quick and show you what I made with this GUI editor. This is going to be a bit of a spoiler for the mod that I'm making, but I want to show you what it is that I've done so far. This is the extent this is the extent of my knowledge. And so I'm going to show you something that's more complex than the GUI editors that are out there, because I want you to learn things. Oh yeah, I have it so that I just press the tilde button and the console comes down. A problem with Doom 3 is that you have to press like 3 buttons in order to do that. So what you do is you right click on your Doom 3 application, you put +set allow console 1 after the last quotation mark, and then after the last quotation mark space, and then put that in there, and then you hit it, and 1 button's all it takes to open that. So I'm going to open up DevMap KR3. And I'm just going to show you what I got so far. It's going to take a little while to load, but it's worth it. If you hear me slurping something, I'm drinking coffee. It's decaf, because it's nighttime. It's going to take a little while to load, but that's because this is a map that I was working on for my mod. Okay. So here is a custom GUI that I created. Mouse is huge. I don't know if there's a way to downsize it. And so you can click on things. Not only can you move the mouse and look around on this fake website that I made, but you can also click on things. Well, look, a forward and back button. Oh, it changes appearance when you click on them. I could have just used like dash left or right arrow, but I decided to make it look more sophisticated. I know it looks all blurry and ugly, but it's about as good looking as I care to make it. Maybe I'll update it in the future. But, you know, this is what you can do with the GUIs. And there's more you can do with the GUIs, because if you go through the maps that come with the campaign, it's a lot more sophisticated. Like, here's one from the very first mission in Doom 3. You could click on things. You got different sound effects for these things. Okay, well, what would happen if I deleted? Oh, another sound effect. What would happen if I try to delete this? Uh-oh, error. Yeah, those are some cool things you can do with the different GUIs. Now, I'm going to go open up the map editor and show you which one that is. What? Yes. Editor. That's how you open up, that's how you would normally open up the map editor. Oh, one thing I want to bring up, the map editor will not work properly if you have Doom 3 in full screen mode. You have to have it in windowed mode, like what I showed you. And I've been using windowed mode to test this so far. So let me open up KR3 and I'll show you exactly what all that was, and my computer is freaking out. So here's the computer that had the one from the game. This one is, well, the model is deskcomp.lwo. The GUI is GUI's MarsCityCargo.gui. So that's the one that you want to go to if you want to play around with that. And the custom GUI that I went and made was ysgamersite.gui. Now, I'm going to go and create my own new map. And I'm going to make this just real basic, just so that way, like, it's the whole point is just to teach you how to do this. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'll go into detail, whatever. Textures. Woo! Alright. So I'm going to basically show you how to make a very, 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 very basic map. It's not going to be anything particularly sophisticated. It's just going to function as a single player map. And yeah. But here you're going to see how I make custom maps. A lot of these are custom textures too, because, you know, making a mod and all that. It's gonna look ugly, but I don't care that much because that's not the point of this experiment. If you ever make a map like this, you always have to seal it. So, yeah. I know that this is boring a little bit, but it's important if you want to make custom maps. I'm going to hit F3, F4 to see exactly how much light we have here. That's not enough light. I'm going to make this even more. 600. There we go. Whatever. It doesn't need to be all that special. This is going to be saved as... Well, actually, no. I'm not going to do that yet. Info player start. This is how you make a single player map. So if you want to make a multiplayer map, you would not be using info player start. Though I'm going to be honest, Doom 3 is kind of boring in multiplayer because you can't have monsters or anything cool in multiplayer, which is a real bummer. New model. There's textures that you can use if you don't want to use a model to have the GUI on, but I'm just going to show you the way that you would usually see it. Map objects. Let's see, mcity, desktop, yeah. Models are kind of weird in how they rotate. And then you would hit GUI, and let's see, in-game screens. So this one's got my custom one on it. I created a custom folder that has my custom GUI in it. So I'm just gonna put my custom one in there, but what I'm gonna do is I am going to create a GUI that will be our custom one with the purpose of showing you how to do it. So this is going to be our map. Oh yeah, that's right. Save as GUI test. Chaos on Earth. Maps. Yeah. Yes, save. Okay. Now with that out of the way, let's go into the GUI editor. So when you go into the GUI editor, if you just leave the game or the map editor, it's not going to load up right away. The applications take a few minutes. So I'm going to open up the GUI editor now. It'll take a little bit to load. It'll look like it's loading up Doom 3, but it's actually loading up the GUI editor. So I'll bring this up here. I like to have it set up like this. So this is properties. This shows you the thing that you're working on. Navigator is like your list of layers. If you know how Photoshop and GIMP image work, this will feel very familiar. So I'm going to create a new one. You're going to want to go to show grid. So the grid is your work area. You technically don't need to do it on the grid, but the grid helps you see what you're doing. So you could either use assets that are from the game, which I guess you would have to take the ones that are from these folders, where I even don't really know where they are, and you could put them in your custom folder. And I created an images folder. You don't need to have all this set up this way. I just have it set up this way that I have an image folder, because I can technically take all these images and I could have had them over here instead, but I just prefer to categorize everything. But having a GUIs folder in your GUIs absolutely do need to be in a GUIs folder, so that's one thing that doesn't change. So here is your base, your desktop, and you would be creating a new window def. Yeah, and let's say you just want to have this be a background color. So I'm going to call this background visible back color. And let's say we want this to be, we'll just go with white. You can't really go wrong with white. Material, you would type something in here for if you wanted this to be a picture. You would have to type in the thing for, the specific path to the picture. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to create a new window def. And I'm going to take a picture that I made. Commissar Reb. So here I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to go for material. So here I've got GUIs, in-game screens, images, and off the top of my head I don't actually remember how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the one that I made to refresh my memory on how I did this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this into here. And you don't need to copy this word for word, you just need to see how this works. Oh, and one other thing, if you have images that you put in your GUI, they absolutely have to be target images, TGAs. So this will be .tga. And no, you can't take a JPG image and then change the file extension. You would have to go into Photoshop or GIMP and change the images that way. I can show you how to do this. It's not particularly difficult. So here we have an image that we created. But let's say that you wanted to go from this page to another page. So what you would do is you would go into here, and I'm gonna have you know what? I'm gonna have it linked to a word. KR text is what I'll call this. And then I'm gonna double click on this. Text, Commissar Reb. And let's say that this is gonna go to a different page. Obviously, we want this to be a color that we can see. And the font is really big for some reason, but if you want to scale down the font, let's say 0.5. There we go. And you can play around with it. It doesn't have to be that specific font, whatever. Let's say you want to go from this page to a different page. So what you would do is you'd go into window def and go like this. I want to call this blue page. A lot of this stuff is very basic and not very, maybe it's not the coolest thing. The whole point behind this is to show you the basics of how this stuff works. So that way you can go and create your own. And then I'm going to create, you know what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a new item, window def. Window def is going to be the mainstay of what you're going to be using to do this. Blue, actually no. Text. It doesn't really matter what you call that. It doesn't have to be related to blue wall. I don't know. So, yeah. And so one way you can go about doing this that really helps, click on this. If you want something like this, the white text to be a subcategory of blue page, what you do is you click on blue page, you hold down shift if you want to select everything below it in between the one that you're clicking on and the one that you want. Or what you can do is you can hold down Control, click on one, and then click on another. When you do this, the first one that you click on is the one that's going to be the parent. What you do is you right click, arrange, make child. There's no hotkey for this, you just have to click around. So that white text is a child of the blue page. And then there is the coding. What I can do is I can make this invisible so that way when you first open everything up, you don't see it right away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as, it's going to be saved as a GUI in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into in-game screens because that's where I'm saving my GUIs. You might save your GUIs and GUIs. I prefer to have subcategories to categorize everything, so that way I don't get stuff mixed up. I'm just gonna call this GUI test GUI. I know that's kind of confusing, but just bear with me for a little bit. And so I'm gonna go and open up GUI text GUI and edit it in Notepad. The reason why I like to use Notepad instead of WordPad is I just think that Notepad is actually a lot easier to do scripting in because of things like this. If I have the cursor, if I have a spot around one of these like brackets selected, it shows you where the other bracket that corresponds with it is. This can be very useful if you're trying to track down what the problem is and if you're missing a bracket or not. It's just more convenient to use than Notepad. So let's say you want to create a button that goes between one page and another. Here, let's see. I'm looking at what I did before. Okay. So I'm just going to copy and paste what I did because I don't remember exactly everything. But I know it's lazy, but that's basically how I learned how to do it. You're going to want to move this back, I think. Yeah. You definitely want the spacing and the indentation to be good because it's very fussy about that. So let's see. Let's see. Background. Yeah, background visible. And let's see. Blue page visible 1. Now I'm gonna copy and paste this over to the blue page so that way when we click back, it's not going to screw everything up. Okay. And then you do it over here too. Yeah, you got to do this. Otherwise, it will screw everything up. So what this will do is it'll make it so that when you click on the text, commissar reb, it will link you to the blue page. And when you click on blue wall, when you're on the blue page, it'll take you back to this other page. Though I realize I should do something, and that is make commissar reb and kr text children of the background. And I showed you how to do this in the GUI editor, so I'm going to show you how to do this in the WordPad. So let's see. Background. I might not be showing you the right way to do it, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So I don't know if I'm being a bad influence or not. This is probably not the best way to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And if I break something, you'll learn from my mistake. You got to be careful when you do it that way because chances are you're going to break something. And then when you open up the GUI editor, you're going to be like, why is nothing opening up? I will make a mistake on purpose, so that way if you ever do this by accident, you'll know it's happening. Okay. And this is not what you want to have happen. You want blue page to start off not selected. Okay, so I figured out why it's doing that. So blue page has to be 0. So that way, when the game opens up, it's not going to do that. GUI text GUI text GUI. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the map editor, and I've got a shortcut already made and ready to go. So that's not going to be an issue. So I'm just going to go straight into that map that we made, GUI test. I'm going to go over to that little monitor, and I'm going to hold down Shift and click on it, and then I'm going to go to GUI, base, GUIs, in-game screens. Oh look, GUI text GUI, it's already there. Check it out, and check this out. F3, F4. Well, I mean, if I save it and reload it, it'll show it, but normally it would. Yeah, it's not showing it right now. Let me go in game and test it out, make sure it works. Coffee. And it didn't load because not enough time passed between me closing the editor and me opening up the game. So if you ever like do that, you close out of the editor or the game and then you open the other one up and you wonder why nothing's loading. It needs a certain amount of time before you can do the other thing. Dev map GUI test. So we're gonna load up, and I don't know why it didn't like that. This happens a lot when you're testing things out, is you have to figure out why things aren't working. And it's a real pain in the ass. GUI test. You know what? Oh. Sometimes one thing that I do know is that if the map is leaked, then your custom map will not work. So one thing that I could do, here is our GUI. So I'm going to try to change the GUI to see if that's the problem. And if it is, then we'll know what isn't working. Oh, wait, you know why it didn't work? I didn't compile the map. So let's do this. BSP no flood. Okay. If that error message pops up, don't let it worry you. It doesn't mean it didn't work. So right over here, when this shows up, that means it's done compiling. It was really fast here because this map is really small and has like nothing in it. But the more large and complex your map is, the more stuff you put in it, the longer that's going to take. So we just wait a few seconds, and then we go into Chaos on Earth, or whatever you're calling your mod. You can call it my mod, or like literally my mod, not the one that I'm working on right now. I'll let you have fun with it. Creating custom images, if you know how to use GIMP image, then you don't need to watch me like make a custom image, because that would be like, you could just take images or one from the game or make your own using GIMP image. That's basically what I did. So here we have the GUI, and the reason why you have a mouse on it is because I put something in it. I have on action all this, because without this, I believe without this you can't have the mouse go on it. And so I click on Commissar Red. Blue wall. Screen of death. Oh no. Oh, it's gone. So it looks like you're clicking on things and going to different screens, but really what it is that this blue screen and this text here are on a different layer, and they become visible and usable when you do a thing, or when a trigger is activated. So that's basically how that works. Those are the basics of how GUIs in Doom 3 work. And if this is actually the full extent of my knowledge, if you want to really learn more, just do the exact same thing that I'm doing, which is copying Doom 3's pack files that are in the base folder, changing the extensions to zip, opening them up, and then putting them somewhere else, like what I did here. You go into them, and you see exactly how they were made, like what I did here. I don't know where they're keeping the images, but these are the GUIs. These are the GUIs that I found, and I just went in there and I basically reverse engineered them, because I went into cargo.gui. I edited it with Notepad. I saw how they made all their stuff, and I basically copied and pasted it to make my GUI. The GUI website that I showed you, that's what this says, all this text. Now, it makes sense to me because, I took the time to figure all that out. It took like an entire day for me to do that, but it was worth it. And so now that you know what I know, hopefully you'll be able to have fun with this tool and make your own GUIs. Happy modding!